Hey everyone, this is Evan from Delta Triggers. In today's video, I want to talk about the different trigger systems that Delta Triggers offers. So we've got the Delta Defense, which is geared up for self-defense. Delta Competition, convert your pistol into a competition pistol. And then we have the enhancement service that we do on the new Glock performance trigger. So I've spoken about these in separate videos, but I actually want to show you, all of that in one video and just show you the differences using 3 different guns. So this is the gun I use for self-defense. This is a Delta Defense system in it. So everything is polished, so it's beautifully smooth. Even this this little nub here is gone. It's smoothed down. It's incredibly comfortable. So if we look at the trigger itself and how it operates, if you can see this gap, I've got quite a nice gap there. It is taken in a little bit, just so that it sits nice and comfortably for my finger length, but there's still a fair amount of play. So if you take up all the play, it has a really defined wall, but it is not overbearing. So you've got a clear wall, so you know that if you blast past this wall, you just apply a bit more pressure, it's going to go off. And that's what you want in a self-defense pistol. You want predictability. So we just boom. It is very, very smooth. Reset. Stupidly quick. So this is all geared up for self-defense. This breaks at between 4 and 4.5 pounds, and I'm quite comfortable with that. And that would kind of be my normal build, between 4 and 4.5 pounds. If a customer wanted something a little bit heavier because they're not comfortable with 4.5 pounds, fine. You can make that adjustment. It'll be a lot stouter wall that you're going to have to get past, but everything else will be the same. That you can adjust and everything else. Okay, so that's the defense. All right. Then we've got the Delta Competition. So this is a Gen 4. My Gen 4 competition systems in here. So everything is polished, all the same magic. I use a different connector, and I use a spring set. So really the spring set is the only aftermarket component that I use. Everything else is Glock OEM. So if we take a look at how this operates, you've got, you can hardly even see that gap. It's so small. I've taken it pretty much all the way back. That's kind of like the play that you have. Okay, and this has a rolling brake, so it's got a wall, but it's like, it can move. It's not stout. So some shooters really like this because they don't have this wall that they have to apply a lot of pressure to, and it sort of jerks the gun. Some shooters do like a firmer wall. So, shooter's preference. But this is how I build the competition ones. So if we just that little bit of take up, and it just sort of blasts past. Very, very smooth. It just rolls into the brake. that's it. Also, very, very quick. On this Gen 4, I have put a Gen 3 trigger bar. For me, on a Gen 4, that's like the ultimate system, is doing all the magic, but then running a Gen 3 trigger bar. I get the best result out of that. Plus, I personally hate the serrations on the shoe. So this is it. This is the competition pulled. This breaks at generally about 3.2 pounds. 3.2, 3.3, somewhere around there. That's what this breaks. So it doesn't, like, if you're into competition shooting, it's not going to go below the limit of 3 pounds. So you're safe. You're good for IPSC and all the other disciplines, which is great. Okay, and then the third one is the Glock performance trigger. So this is a Glock Gen 3, so 17, that has a performance trigger in it. So generally, I mean, the performance triggers come out for Gen 5s only, but I mean, I do the modification to make it operate in a Gen 3 or Gen 4. It works beautifully, so no hassles there. In this particular build, I mean, this is strictly for comp as well. This breaks at about 3.2 pounds, but big difference, I'm using stock standard spring set. When using the Glock performance system, because the action is very, very different, it's single action as opposed to like a two-stage trigger, you don't need to change out the springs. It's not going to have any effect on the system because the striker sits fully cocked, basically. So anyway, I've spoken about that in other videos. But this is the Delta service on the Glock performance trigger. Okay, so in this particular one, I've changed out the connector. It comes with a dot connector as standard, and I find it a little bit too heavy. I prefer it a little bit lighter. The beauty of this is that if you change the connector to like my minus connector, you're not going to get too much of a rolling break. You're really not. I mean, that wall is still there. Let me show you guys. Okay, so I've taken this. There's a bit of a gap there. I haven't taken it like all the way, but I mean, there's a little bit of play. Okay, so I mean, this has my minus connector, the Delta minus connector. Okay, so it's like a solid wall. It really is. It's just lighter. So if you just at 90, it's so predictable. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very quick. So this is also like 3.2, 3.3, but remember, you're using standard springs. So what is the benefit of that? Well, I don't have to worry about light strikes. Primer shortage, everyone's just trying to get their hands on whatever they can get. And, if you're using a 4-pound spring, which, generally people would use when they're doing a comp build or something like that, there is a possibility that you're going to get a light strike. Absolutely. If you're using standard spring, that's probably not going to happen. So yeah, from a reliability perspective, I mean, it's definitely a bit better with this system. Okay, so those are the 3 systems. Obviously, in each system, everything is completely adjustable. Everything is refined. Everything is polished. Everything's just magic. I mean, you would never ever say that this is a Glock. That's for sure. All right, a little bit about the different systems. Thanks, guys. Cheers.